If you want to know how a wrinkled, shivering Sphinx cat ended up saving a little boy's heart, start here. 6-year-old Eli walked into that house clutching a stuffed dinosaur, wearing frog rain boots, and carrying a kind of quiet sadness that even a hairless cat could feel from across the room. But let me start at the beginning. Margaret was 59 years old, recently retired from a lifetime of teaching elementary school, and absolutely certain she did not want a pet. Her daughter, Sophia, had been concerned about her isolation for months. "Get a cat, Mom. Get a dog. Get something alive to talk to." Margaret always said the same thing. "I have enough to worry about. I do not need another mouth to feed." Then one cold afternoon in February, she walked past that vet clinic on her way to the pharmacy, and someone had set the box of us out front with a handwritten sign. "Free to good homes. Hairless kittens." She stopped. She looked down. I looked up. I know exactly what she thought in that moment because she told me 1,000 times over the years. She thought, "That is the ugliest thing I have ever seen in my life." And then she picked me up and held me against her chest and felt my tiny heart hammering away like a little engine, and she said, "Well, I suppose I have room for one ugly thing." She named me Patches. I have no idea why. I have no patches. I have no fur whatsoever. But Margaret thought it was funny, and honestly, if making Margaret laugh was a crime, I would be a lifelong criminal. Those first years were just the two of us. She would read in the evenings with me, draped across her shoulders like a living scarf, because let me tell you something about being a Sphinx cat. We are always cold, and Margaret was always warm, and that arrangement suited us both perfectly. She would talk to me about her day, about the news, about memories from her classroom. I listened to every single word. Then came the day everything changed again. Margaret's daughter Sophia called, and her voice was the kind of voice that comes before very hard news. She said, "Mom, I need your help. I cannot do this alone right now." Her marriage had fallen apart quietly, and then all at once, and she was moving back to Portland with her 6-year-old son, a boy named Eli. Eli arrived on a Saturday the next week, clutching a stuffed dinosaur and wearing rain boots with frogs on them. He walked through Margaret's front door, looked around the living room, and then he saw me sitting on the back of the couch. His entire face transformed. He had the kind of eyes that show every single thing he is feeling, wide and brown and completely incapable of hiding anything. He walked very slowly toward me, the way children do when they are trying not to scare something they desperately want to touch. He stopped about 2 feet away and whispered, "Grandma, is that a real cat?" Margaret said, "That is Patches, and Patches is very real and very sensitive, so be gentle." He reached out one small hand. I sniffed his fingers. He smelled like rain and graham crackers and something that I can only describe as sadness. The kind children carry when they do not fully understand what has happened, but know that something has. I leaned into his hand. I heard him exhale. From that moment, Eli and I were inseparable. He would build blanket forts and I would crawl inside them with him. He narrated elaborate stories about dragons and space explorers, and I played every villain and sidekick he assigned me, without complaint. When he started at his new school and came home some days with red eyes and quiet shoulders, he would find me waiting at the door, and he would sit down right there on the entryway floor and just hold me. Children who are hurting need something to hold, something that holds them back without asking questions. I never asked questions, I just stayed. Sophia started sleeping better after the first month. I noticed because she stopped coming downstairs at 2 in the morning to sit alone in the kitchen. Margaret noticed too. They started talking more, the kind of talking that sounds like crying at first and then slowly becomes something lighter. I would position myself between them on the couch, a wrinkled furless bridge between two women figuring out how to be okay again. There was one evening in June, when all 3 of them were in the garden after dinner. Eli was chasing fireflies. Sophia had her head on Margaret's shoulder. The light was golden the way it only gets for about 20 minutes in early summer. I was sitting on the porch railing, which I was absolutely not supposed to do, but no one corrected me that night. I looked at Eli laughing, genuinely laughing the way he had not in those first weeks. I looked at Sophia with her eyes closed, and her whole body finally at rest. I looked at Margaret, who was watching her family with an expression I had seen before on her face, the same one she wore when she picked me up from that box outside the vet clinic. It was the look of someone who had made more room in their heart than they thought they had. I am a Sphinx cat. People have a lot of feelings about how I look. I have heard the words weird and wrinkly and strange my entire life, and I say this with complete sincerity, I do not mind at all. Because the people who stop long enough to actually look at me, really look, they always find something worth staying for. Eli is 9 now. He tells everyone at school that his cat has superpowers. He is not wrong. My superpower is this. I show up, I stay warm, and I never once let the people I love feel like they are alone in the cold. Neither should you. If you have enjoyed this story, like and subscribe so you will not miss future stories. There are a lot more to come.